Today we're going to be looking at modeling a decimal by decimal, and we're going to look at not only how to make the model but also how to read it, just like we did with whole number times a decimal. As with every algorithm in multiplication, there are three components. There are two factors multiplied together to give us a product. So the key in modeling is understanding where the factors come from, or when making it, how to represent those factors correctly so that your end result gives you the correct product. So over on this foldable, we have step-by-step directions of how we're going to create this model. And we're going to pretend a little bit. We have a garden, and our garden is 100 square feet, makes the entire garden. And this year, I'm going to use 7/10 of my garden to plant blueberries. So, just as step one says right here, this first factor of 7/10 is represented by the columns. So shading 7/10 of your columns, so that's 7 out of 10 columns. So to show my 7/10 blueberries painted, I'm going to shade 7 columns right now. And I'm not shading them in completely so that you can really see the end result, because unlike multiplication of a whole number times a decimal, where you pick up where you left off with that repeated addition, what you're doing when you're multiplying a decimal times a decimal is really the inverse of multiplication. You're dividing it, because what you're going to do is, out of these 7/10, I want to know what 7/10 of the original 7/10 is. So instead of shading side by side another set of 7/10, what I'm doing is the following year, out of that section of blueberries, the following year I'm going to take 7/10 of that section and I'm going to plant strawberries that year. So every other year I'm going to plant strawberries in my garden, taking up 7/10 of the space of what was originally blueberries. So you see that it's not side by side. You're taking a piece of a piece. So you're cutting that 7/10 now up into smaller pieces. And what you end up making to figure out your product is an array. And we talked about array in our vocabulary section. An array is showing me columns and rows that repeat over and over, which is multiplication, repeated addition. So I've created an array that is 7 by 7, or 7 times 7. So as you're going to see, the multiplication is the same as if it were a whole number. It's still 49 square inches, or square feet, is going to be strawberries out of the 70 that I originally planted in blueberries, but it's out of 100, so it's 49 hundredths that we're working with here. Now, in most models, the way you're going to see this is you're going to see that 7/10 extended out so that you can easily see, when reading your model, the pieces that go together, to easily pick out the two factors and then see what overlaps. So, but what the key is, and our focus, is what's created right here in the middle in the overlapping areas.